Ready to go. Please come to order. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful Lord's Day, and we thank you for the guidance, Lord, which we ask that you just lead us tonight with, and everything we do will be a blessing in your eyes. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank everyone for coming out tonight. I hope you all have a wonderful holidays. And 223 is here. So, that being said, we will start with a roll call. Curtis is
running late.
Okay. Dennis is here. Mindy's here. Miss Sue's here. Tyler is hanging in a tree somewhere in Kentucky.
Hanging in a tree.
Sitting
in a tree. Otherwise he's a bat.
Jason's here. I'm here. Mr. Evans is here. Miss Sherry's here. And our illustrious Mr. Warren is on the Zoom over there with us. So, with that being done, we will move on to the approval of the agenda.
Motion for approval of agenda.
Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those same, motion carries. And next is the approval of the minutes for the charter review workshop on December the 19th.
Approve for charter review workshop December 19, 2022.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those same, motion carries. And the last is the minutes from the town council meeting on December the 19th.
Move approval for minutes of December 19, 2022.
And it's been moved and seconded. Approval of the minutes for the town council meeting on December the 19th of 2022. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those same, motion carries. All right. We have no public participation. Is there anybody? We have nothing signed up, so moving right on. All right. Informational item. Town hall will be closed on Monday, January the 16th for Martin Luther King Day. Is there any county events going on that you know of, Sue?
On that day?
Yeah.
Not that I know of, no.
I haven't heard anything.
Not on that specific day, but I know they have something going on in Chief and Wilson.
Right, okay. I didn't know. Okay. Our next town charter review workshop is Tuesday the 17th, which would be our next scheduled meeting. And the next town council meeting will be followed right after that at 6 p.m. The workshop is at 5, of course. And then the city council meeting will be, the town council meeting will be at 6 following.
I will not be here.
All right. And for those of interest, the Levy County Legislative Delegation hearing is Friday, January the 20th at 11 a.m. That will be at the Annex Building, Courthouse. Sue and I will both be there. So. And next information is Governor Bronson status award more than $35 million to 48 communities for community development. And we happen to be one of those.
What are we going to do with it?
Replace all of the residential water meters.
I thought we already had something for that.
No, commercial.
That's for commercial.
So
We did the grant so we wouldn't have to put all that into the ABM proposal.
Is it going to take all that money to do that with?
Supposedly.
See, that's what the money he sent this for.
Well,
That's
the grant, the CDBG grant.
So it's a grant from the government, not just giving us money.
They don't just give you money.
No, I think it was.
No, I mean,
What do you mean?
They were.
What do you mean?
No,
We applied for it,
we applied for a grant,
right?
and so Okay,
Yeah, we had to give
Red
it,
Ball.
that's the use that we asked for it, that's what we asked for the grant
Yeah.
for.
okay.
Right.
I see the city of Otter Creek got some too, or
Yes,
town of
they do.
Otter Creek.
Yes.
That's good to see.
And Chiefland?
Yeah, chief.
Wow.
You're gonna take $600 some $1,000, replace with those, that's the meters, when you got the 20.
We've got about 450 residential.
That's a lot of money to
And
take.
they are-
meters.
they
But it make, are we gonna be able to upgrade the whole,
That'll be.
the way that they're read and everything, the whole thing
Automated.
will be in this century.
Yes.
Well, didn't we say we had only 1,200 people?
1,100 people.
1,200?
Residences about 450, and then commercial about 200, a little over 200.
So after that, we will be able to read meters from the city hall.
Okay.
Okay, last but not least is the automotive parts antitrust litigation. This is Sue, you want to enlighten us on this?
I'm going to read it for the record because it's kind of interesting. I knew nothing about this, and then Wendy and I got this last week and was like, "Are we getting a lawsuit served?" Oh, we did get the payment. Okay.
last week too.
Dear Mayor Parton, as you know, the Office of the Attorney General has pursued price-fixing claims against multiple manufacturers of automotive parts. This office filed an action on behalf of the state as well as local government entities. The case is now settled, resulting in a recovery for your agency. The Office of the Attorney General is pleased to announce that you have received an electronic transfer for $286.10, which represents your agency's share of the settlements. With these settlements in distribution, the litigation hold is now lifted. This means that all documents you have been preserving for this litigation can now be returned to your agency's normal retention schedule. We know that your agency staff devoted valuable time and effort to collecting necessary documentation that assisted us in the litigation of this case. Please accept our personal thank you for the cooperation and support your agency provided. Your actions were instrumental in allowing us to bring this matter to a successful conclusion.
And there's not a soul in this off room right here that knows anything.
Elaborate on the night.
Yeah, no clue because we weren't involved in it.
None of us. That's the very first thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, like I
I
said,
read it too, and I'm like, oh.
I mean, it's nice.
If you really want to mess them up, send a check back.
We'll take it.
Okay.
We didn't get the check, they deposited it.
Deposit in our account, right.
That's scary. That's scary.
Yeah, that's real scary.
That's scary.
It's a whole $200, come on now.
Okay, moving right on along. Sue, I will let you take care of the rest of that. Okay.
So first up, I have a lot tonight, and I apologize. There's just a lot going on, I guess. This is the second reading of Ordinance 22-05, an ordinance of the town of Bronson in the county of Levy, Florida, adding a new section 8.4 to its code of ordinances to provide for the determination of the winner of a municipal election that results in a tie by the toss of a coin, providing procedures therefore and an effective date. So we did a first reading on November 28th. We advertised it. I don't think we have anybody who's come in about it, but this is just correcting when we did the ordinance with Tammy, with the supervisor elections, changing the elections of September to April. This just got overlooked. So again, this is just in the event of a tie, instead of going to a separate election, we would just do a coin toss. So, second reading tonight.
So, we would need a vote on this as for the second
You
reading.
need to pass it on second reading if you choose, yes.
So, what is the pleasure of the council?
Motion of approval for ordinance number 22-05,
Second reading.
second reading.
I'll second.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those say, motion carries.
All right, next up is Resolution 22-25 revised. And you guys may want to hold this for some of the other things on the docket, but I just sort of did them in numerical order. This was the one that you guys tabled last time. Resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Bronson, County of Florida, for the annual adjustment of the rates charged by the town for the furnishing of water and of wastewater disposal to reflect the published changes in the Consumer Price Index, and providing for the timing of such changes and for the immediate effectiveness of the resolution itself. So this was where we said we would take a CPI increase, whatever it was, deemed by the Department of Labor. But again, if you guys decide you want to do the increases to the water and wastewater that are recommended by Florida Rural Water, you may want to hold on to this and push it down on the agenda. Up to you guys.
So what you're saying is you want us,
Well, this is what, like, Attorney Warm and I talked about this today. If you guys decide to do an increase in it, it's coming up, Resolution 22-29. If you decide to take the water and sewer increases that are being proposed, you may want to hold off on doing anything with the CPI. Andrew Green had recommended doing this in the event you guys didn't want to do any other increases, just to do something.
that's where,
So I guess it just depends on where you guys are at as to how you want to handle all of these things.
okay, again, pleasure of the council.
I think we should take, whatever the recommendation was,
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we're gonna have to raise the wastewater. And I mean,
After what he showed us.
yeah, I mean, from what I've read, from what has been presented, we're just following by this, so. I mean, it's unfortunate, but
I agree.
that has to be done.
May I suggest that if you're going to consider and possibly act on the other resolution, the one that increases the rates, not in accordance with CPI, just increases the rates pursuant to the recommendation that you got, then somebody should make a motion to defer this particular proposed resolution to the end of the meeting so that the agenda item is disposed of for now and gives you room to do what you want to do later. Just basically a motion to hold this until later, as Sue recommended.
I make a motion that we move this resolution until later in the agenda when we discuss the other increases.
second.
Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
Okay, so next up is resolution number 22-27, resolution of the town of Bronson establishing lien for water service payment delinquency. So as you may remember, we did a bunch of these earlier in the year for people that are at least 6 months in arrears in their utility bills. This is a property at 51 Peace Drive owned by Wilma Robbins Holman. As of right now, they are delinquent $666.77. They were given a letter, we mailed a certified letter to them back on Monday, December 5th, gave them until today to get current or make a payment arrangement, and they have yet to do so.
She doesn't live there.
She's the owner of the property. So the way this goes, if you guys know this property at all, there's a lot going on with this property. It's also on my code enforcement issues. So I actually sent this letter we always send it to the property owner, whoever the owner is. The owner actually lives in Titusville, and we sent it to the tenant because the utility is in the tenant's name. And so he got a letter and the owner got a letter trying to get somebody to make the payment, basically.
The owner is in a rehab.
Correct.
Because so I just wonder.
She has people that are getting her mail, though, because I've talked to several people that have gotten the code enforcement letters.
Oh.
So there are people, somebody living in the house and someone not living in the house.
It seems like on that though, if there's a tenant there and they're not paying the bill, just my thought. They're not paying the bill, then you turn around and bill the owner. It seems like you would pursue the person that's staying there more so than the owner. Then if the person that's living there move out, then you pursue the owner. I mean, because the owner's not there, and she just, whoever he or she just renting.
Correct.
So, I mean, you can't, maybe you can, maybe you can't, but it don't seem like you can hold the owner accountable for somebody else's bills just because they renting a piece of property. Ray, you in here?
Yes, sir.
You ever have any problem like that?
Yeah, I don't know the law, Mr. Moore might know, but I don't think you can hold the owner responsible for a tenant's bill. But I don't know the law.
I mean, I would think whose name is the water on?
The water is in the tenant's name.
Gentlemen,
Then the bill belongs to them, then, doesn't
Belongs
it?
to the tenant, that belongs to the owner.
Correct.
I know,
And why haven't we, I mean, they 600 and something, they have water? Are these kids?
I mean, it's off. But they have water. I mean, yes, in general.
see, but there's another thing about that too. If they're not paying the actual water bill, which is, said $25 a month. Okay, and then you turn around and we charging them for the meter being there, and you're not collecting the you know what's due for it's been used. But you turn around and we charging them for the meter being there, and you're not getting no money at all.
How long has the water been cut off?
Well, we've gone back and forth with them because they've paid, they've not paid. Again, there's a lot of people living in the house. There's like 6, 8 people living in this house. So it's an issue. And we don't, I mean, to the best of my knowledge, I don't have any other way to go after the tenant. I mean, Attorney Warren may know better than I do. I mean, we don't put anybody through to collections. So this was my best, attempt. But if you don't want me to pursue it, we don't have to. Of
Well, I mean,
course.
I'm not saying about. I'm just saying I don't see how you can, Mr. Warren.
Yes.
Can you?
Okay, listen. If you say that the owner, even though they're the owner of the property, has no responsibility, then you can't leave the property for the unpaid water. And by the mere act of renting the property to somebody, the owner absolves themselves of all responsibility, and you can't put a lien for collection, which the statute says that you can. What really happens here generally is that, yes, it's the tenant's responsibility, but that's by contract between the owner and the tenant. So when the owner sees that there's a lien about to be placed, it's really the owner's responsibility to lien on the tenant and get the tenant to pay. But I think you do have the right to lien the property because it's the property that is being served with the water, and the owner is the owner and is responsible for that property. So I see exactly
Because then
what
the
you're
owner
saying.
will take the tenant to small claims court.
Right.
Right.
I think there's a civil.
And a victim.
Right.
But even if you go to small claims court and you get a judgment, then you've got the whole agony of trying to collect the
You
small
still got the
claims
same
judgment.
problem.
Whereas leaning the property,
What
puts
happens?
the
But she
onus
can't
on the
sell
owner.
it without us getting our money.
Well, that's just it. If she goes to try to sell it, or he goes to try to sell it, we'll get
We'll
ours
get our money.
out
I
of it.
understand that.
But see, like Mr. Warren says, like that's a contract between the landowner and the person renting that, in good faith, that they were gonna pay the water bill.
But see, I understand that too. But if there was a contract between the landowner and the leaser, or whatever you want to call it, that they were going to pay the water bill, then I don't know what I start to say. It's gone.
Mr. Warren, can we find out for sure what the legal?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure what I said is true, but I'm more than happy to look it up and give you something.
Let's do that before we push final judgment, because I mean, it's better to have all you.
So I guess my question would be too, who are they renting from? Because they're not giving Miss Wilma whatever they're charging for rent. So that's the problem.
Yeah, there's all.
There is nobody putting pressure on them to get water in that house. They just collecting their rent and doing what it do.
There's like I said, there's all kinds of issues with this house. Supposedly the granddaughter is the one who called and screamed at me when I sent the code enforcement letter. And then I said, listen, I have to send it to whoever the property owner is. And then somebody else called who supposedly I think was her daughter, and she said that she had power of attorney over Miss Holman. I've dealt with 3 or 4 people with this property.
So the granddaughter actually lives in this area, and that's who.
And supposedly lives in
That's
this
what
house.
like this. I'm gonna say the streets say that's who they paying the rent.
Right.
And that's who's renting the house to these.
The granddaughter's
their
living.
grandma.
Yes.
The granddaughter's living there with them.
Right.
So I'm their own.
Hold on. Stop now, because I'm in the dark here. We got somebody living in occupancy in a facility with no water.
That's
And
not-
the house is like a junkyard.
No. She lives in Titusville. The person that is the owner lives in
I don't
Titusville.
care who
No,
you own.
we're talking about the-
I'm still saying that there's somebody living
Correct, they ain't got no water.
and they don't have water.
Probably don't got power.
There's people supposedly living in an RV, living in a shed. That's what the whole complaint was about. There's a lot. That's what I'm saying. This property is a lot.
Because there's a travel trailer there too, ain't it?
Yeah.
Correct.
And then there's a law against the travel trailer.
That's correct. This is why they got the code
But
enforcement.
what we
letter.
used to do, if now they can't just say the tenants moved out, which apparently they don't care that they don't have water.
Right.
Before they could rent it and we hook up water again, the person who owns the house would actually have to pay for that bill.
Right.
They would have to pay their own bill.
The owner would be responsible.
Right.
Yes.
Oh,
Just
Because they can't get water turned back onto that house until this bill is get
What
paid.
you're saying is that address will not get water back on until this bill is paid by
100%.
somebody.
That's what Central Florida do. If I leave a place and I leave a bill and I don't pay my bill, if I go somewhere else to try to get power hooked up, I got to pay that bill out of there before they hook my power up. That's the way they work.
Right.
So it should be the same. It should be the same thing. But another thing is we need to try to figure out because we billing them, and the bill keep on getting higher and higher because of the regular monthly fee.
Correct.
So
Yeah,
it's not helping them.
How much of that is
Interest.
just the add-on? That's what I'm saying.
I mean, it could be significant because you got to remember if you're not paying, then you're getting a 10% late fee. 10% on a $500 bill is
Yeah,
$50.
but that can be,
but,
I mean,
you know.
that, I would not charge that because that can be negotiated later. I mean, if they come and they got $300 was the original water bill and they have that and they pay that, we can always negotiate the other money and take it off how we want to do it. But if you don't charge it, then you can't do that.
Right. But you gotta remember, if they get to this point with me, it's because they haven't paid for several months. I don't do this after month 1, month 2, month 3. I mean, this is, you know what I mean? We run a report at the beginning of every month to see, who has a really high bill, who hasn't paid in several months. So when they're getting to this point, they're earning it, is my point, you know what I mean? So.
I mean, and they obviously know the water turned off,
They
so.
could be using their neighbor water because it's hard to live without water.
Yeah, they probably running water from the neighbor to
That's
that
what I'm
RV.
saying.
That's what you just
They
said.
got water.
Isn't there a Florida statute or something though that you can't have people living in a residence without water because of a health issue?
I thought so.
That is correct.
He said, yeah, that's correct.
It's a health violation.
But we shut people's
So
water
you
off.
can, if we had a code enforcer, he could follow up and code enforce that statute.
Health department.
Well, it's right. You go to the health department and they condemn the facilities, and there's one over here on the other side of town. I know that got red tagged last week, but I got notified about it because of mold in the trailer, and it's just terrible situation.
So what is the solution to the problem? Like Councilman Sheriff said, if we if we negotiate, if we can get anything, or what I said, the bill said $600. If you can get the original bill and don't worry about the interest and all that kind of stuff, and get something instead of nothing, and it may work out all right. That's what we need. In other words, compromise, make an offer, not compromise, just make an offer.
Well, we've told them numerous times. I spoke to the tenant and the
Granddaughter.
a few times, and so has Alexis, and they got put on a payment plan, and we're going to come up there, and part of it is because we're on our way up there, and then they don't show up, and then we're on the way up there, and then they don't show up. So the city has bent over backwards to try to help them if there's been issues.
You just gotta know who that is.
Oh, I know who it is. Oh, I know.
I think the first thing that we need to look into is if that's a violation of the state statute, then we need to handle it through that they need to be making some kind of attempt to get the water back on.
Shouldn't the county health department be sent over there to make an inspection?
They can be, yes.
Yes.
That should be your because it's a health issue. That should be your first line of attack. I do believe that the place can be legal, but as the mayor suggested, I'll research that. in depth to be sure that we're not stepping on anybody's toes doing that. But the health issue, it seems to me at least to be paramount.
And I would try to downplay what you were saying just in your own situation. Now, what I'm trying to grasp here also is, if we have a set of guidelines that we have to go by as a municipality here, that collections and whatever, and then we start negotiating those guidelines, or we stepping across. I mean, trying to collect money is one thing. I understand that, Lord knows I do. But when when you start discounting in the general public, the taxpayers that are paying their bill is in reality paying for something for. I don't want to use the word deadbeat, but that's exactly
When
what
you
it
open
is.
yourself up to, if you do it for one, then you have to do it for all.
Right.
That needs to
So
be across
that's
the
what I'm
board.
saying. You
Correct. So you'd have to come up with just say a percentage. We'll allow a 15% discount if you could pay in whole of what the bill is, and you have to do that across the board. For anybody that ever had
But
this
ain't nothing wrong
situation.
with that. Because right now you ain't getting nothing.
Well, no, I'm saying and it's possible. It's just you have to make sure
Yeah.
that you do it exactly the same
Right.
for everybody.
Right, but they're not gonna be worried about turning on the water unless they have to. Right now, they don't have to.
Like Mr. Warren said, what the first thing I would do is go to call the health department.
Okay.
Get it red tagged and get them out, and then the person that's renting the property will no longer be getting any income, probably not any house.
Well, part of the issue is the person that's renting the property also lives in the property. The granddaughter, it's her house as well, as she's on the trust. She's the one that signed the lease. She made up the lease and brought in the lease. So the granddaughter who's leasing it also lives with the tenants.
Her mother lives there too.
Her mother, the granddaughter.
Yeah, it's a mess. Miss
And the
Warren.
whole
And
mess.
kids.
I'll go into, I can explain it when we're not in a public meeting because I don't want to put too much.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
So, then we need a vote on this to,
We could probably table this one until Mr. Warren gets your final decision.
Or until we go to the health department.
I mean, because you did ask Mr. Warren to
Yeah.
verify.
But this is what we did with the other properties though, didn't we?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was a tenant. I think it was the owner, right?
I think this is the first one we've had there was a tenant in the house.
Yeah, the
Yes.
other one was an owner.
Owner or vacant or something, but not tenant.
all right, wait, go.
I mean, if you want Mr. Warren to confirm that we need to table 22-27 to the next meeting.
What, Mr. Warren, what's your thoughts on this?
Sure, of course. And I will look up what I said I would look up. Let me say something else. What Jason said is very true. That whatever policy there is on discounting or negotiating or reducing the bill has to be across the board. It can't be arbitrary.
Right.
Also, you probably need, because you're dealing with public funds, I think somebody pointed out that whatever they don't pay becomes a burden on the taxpayers. So it's public funds. So you have to, there should be a compelling reason to negotiate. If somebody comes in and says, come on, give me a deal, I want 10% off, that's not enough. It's not like selling a car. There has to be a decent, publicly inspired reason why a discount is in order. You probably would need a policy on that, thinking long range about the whole situation. But as the mayor suggested, let's first make sure what the deal between a landlord and tenant is. I'll tell you again, for what my instinct says, is that if a landlord could get out of ever having to lean on the property for the water, or simply laying it off on a tenant who may or may not be a deadbeat, it's too easy, it's too evasive. But I'll see what the law is. There's got to be cases of this, and I'll give you the answer.
All right, I make a motion we table resolution number 22-27 to the next town council meeting.
I said,
Probably moving second, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
All right.
Those same, motion carried.
Are you
All
gonna
right.
contact the health department?
Yes, I will work on this one. All right, the next one shouldn't be as difficult, but maybe it will be. I don't know. All right, this is resolution number 22-28. Same thing, resolution of the town of Bronson establishing lien for water service payment delinquency. So same thing, sent a certified letter on December 5th. This one is for parcel 663 East Main Street. The owner of record is Eleanor McKeever. I apologize for butchering that. I believe she's deceased, correct?
McCarver. Okay.
Eleanor McCarver.
So I sent it to the estate of, but I mean, again, I don't know what's going on with this property, but it's accruing water bills
It's
and,
bigger. See, that's what I'm talking about. See, it's a crude water bill. The woman what lived there was living there, she dead.
correct,
Nobody don't live in the house, it's vacant.
correct?
So you can't collect money from a dead person.
But you can
But
put
what
a lien on the estate, and then if they try to sell it,
Well, that's what,
Yeah.
I would say that we
How,
so
So she owes 484.68,
she been,
we'll have the lien on there.
the estate.
And whenever the taxes don't get paid and that piece of property gets sold at the courthouse steps, whoever buys that property will have to pay the town of Bronson as well to pass due water
how
bill.
much is that bill?
484.68
Is that water and sewer or just water?
just water.
on East Main, it's just water.
That's how you get your money back later on. The deceased. Somebody will buy it one day.
Somebody should have
Yeah.
addressed this.
It will sell.
Yeah, just for, just for your information, 2 years ago, I bought a property on, where's the bus? The bus, oh, Marshburn. And it had a bunch of bamboo and stuff on there, but the guy was $5,000 in debt to the city because he got cancer. And he couldn't pay his water bill, and they eventually shut it off. He did the same thing. One of the difficulties is you get a letter in the mail, and you can pay 1 month, and then you get 3 or 4 months before you have to pay again. So he eventually got up to $5,000. Well, I bought the property, and I came to the town, and I said, can you negotiate it and cut some of the interest off. So they cut it down to like $2,800 and I paid it.
Wow.
So it can be negotiated, but like he's saying, you gotta get a,
I do not know whether that was legal or not.
I know. But I'm just giving you
I
that
wasn't
information that it happens.
I can't believe we had a $5,000 water bill.
Right.
Yeah, I see.
No, I know what property he's talking about.
This is where you get into a piece of property just sitting, and there's nobody there. Just like we was talking about Miss McCaver, she passed away. And where do you stop the bill from just accruing just because there's a meter sitting there?
See, that's what my problem always been. Just because the meter there, I got electricity in a place, and I pay Central Florida Electric a basic rate for that power to be owned. But if that meter was off, it don't cost me nail dime. And that's why when this whole thing was implemented, I had a problem with it then. And I still got a problem with it because the meter's there, and just because the meter's there, and the people not getting water, because for a long time, I'm paying this a month on this here place I got in water.
Yeah.
And it was off. Then I realized if I got to pay, cut the water on. And I paid years for it. And never used the water was off. So I really got a problem with, I know we in business or whatever, but when that thing was passed, the paper that meter just sitting there, that's not right.
And then you compound that, if you're on sewer,
I think City of Chiefland used to do it, and then they started. They used to when I lived in Chiefland, you would have to pay a minimum, but then they stopped. I don't know.
They don't do that.
They don't do it anymore.
No,
This
they
was
don't
like
do
in
that.
the late '90s. The City of Chiefland doesn't.
They-
They'll
they-
padlock it or remove the meter, but if you don't have, even if it's a vacant lot, somebody has to actually be there or want it on.
And I think that's a bad, whatever, we passed this, all of it was passed, and I think I voted against it when it was passed then. But, because all you're doing is accumulating more money and not collecting to start off with. Now I paid, well, right now I got some more meters put in, and I pay for them every month. And everybody can't do that. But I pay for it because the city said it's required. And that's why I do it. Even before I had the other one put in, I paid for it because they said it was required. But when that, like I said, when that order was passed, I didn't agree with it then because you can't, all it does is a box sitting there with water to it, but I'm not using no water. I still, what's the minimum amount now?
Water's $14.19.
$14 a month. I pay $30-some a month for Central Florida Electric for my power to be on my vacant lot. Because when I need power, it's there. If I need the water, I pay the deposit, have my water cut on, and I use the water. And that's where it should be. But a few years ago, we come up with this somebody come up with this idea to do it that way, and that's where it's been. And then, like I said, you got this rule that you got to pay if it's there. Like the woman was dead now. She been dead for what?
Wow.
3 or 4 years, and she been getting a bill, and she don't even exist no more. It's a natural. So I think that's something we need to look into, or y'all need to look into, because
well, seems like to me, you got a very good point there. You can make a motion tonight not to do that. You got rules.
it got to be. It was an ordinance, I think it was, so it got to be handled a little bit different from that. It's a city ordinance. I think that's what you call it. You call it.
That's how that
And then
works.
that will stop. That will stop.
Let's just check to see what the rest of municipalities are in the counties, just get information
For,
on the same circumstances we're talking about.
okay.
And I'm not saying just follow suit, but I mean, at least you can get some.
Well, we used to do it. I know we didn't do it until, I don't know how many years it's been ago. It's probably been 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 years ago. I don't know. But
I mean, if you're sitting there with a water and sewer, what would the minimum be?
35.68, so yeah, $50-something.
Yeah, 60.
Oh, there's 63, I think.
That's with trash.
63.
63 for me.
I
It's
mean,
for
that would,
trash.
and then you start running late fees on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
And a disconnect fee.
And disconnect fees and everything else. Don't take long to add up.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Okay, so, what's that?
It's kind of weird situation because we have two different scenarios. We have people living in one that with no water, and then we have somebody who died. We have more of those on Main Street right now that me and Sue have been working on. Is the building is there, but nobody wants to respond to pay the water bill. You know, and the roof is caving in, and if we allow that, the town will look very bad. So we can't just do away with not having a water bill for them. How do we force the people to do something with their deteriorating building, basically?
great.
What address that is on Main Street?
Uh-huh.
What address that is on Main Street?
337 and 338.
Great. There's some people living in houses look worse than the one that people ain't living in.
Yeah, you're
So
right.
how do you do
I
that?
agree with that. That's why we need it.
The ones what nobody living in they deteriorate, I can see that. But the ones what deteriorate and people live in it,
Bad too.
We had one a few years ago here that what do you call it, people, the federal states sends them in to clean up the place, and they had hazmat suit on. They walked in the door, turned around and walked right back out, so they refused to go in it.
Yeah.
That was very bad. All right, so what do we, Sue, what do we need to do here?
You want to table this one too? You don't, okay.
Enough on the table.
We need to put the lien on the property.
Yeah.
So whenever it gets sold at the courthouse steps,
Right.
we're gonna be in the dark.
So, make your motion.
Make a motion for approval of resolution number 22-28.
Can I ask a question before you do that?
Absolutely.
So the lien would be for this amount that's already required, or would it continue, would the amount continue to build?
That's an Attorney Warren question. Attorney Warren, do you know the answer to that question?
I disagree. I think there's language in it.
Whereas the property located at 663 East Main Street and identified as tax parcel is delinquent in the payment of water bills in the amount of $484.68 for well in excess of 30 days. Informal collection has not resulted in payment. The town manager shall cause this resolution to be recorded. I don't think it says.
Yeah, it does. It's for that amount.
Okay.
If there's more, it has to be a subsequent resolution. The only thing that will be recorded in the county office will be that 484.
So
So if
I guess
it
my question
increases-
would be, I would rather see the lien be for what the amount was before we turn the water off. Or with the, so there's no water there, right? Or is there water that actually works there, there just ain't nobody living in the house?
I'm sure there's no water there. I'm sure they
No.
turned it off. But again, you got to remember these are accruing minimums. That's the issue with all
Right,
of
but the
this.
lady dead, so she couldn't be paying the minimum. When she was alive, she paid her water bill, right? So that's what I'm saying, it's like, this minimum is really occurring on nobody.
Right?
For this property, it's not like people live in that house
Right.
and have the meter, have access to the meter. Nobody has lived in that house since she left it.
Correct.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like if it was a bill before she left there, before she died, I would think the lien would be that. But like after she died, I don't know who was.
Well, who's paying the taxes?
Probably
Well,
nobody.
expectations leading up to here, somebody will be paying those here very quickly.
Well, that's just it. Taxes are gonna come due.
They're gonna come do it.
And
when
if
they
somebody's
do.
making enough effort to pay them taxes on that piece of property, well, they need to make enough effort to pay this water
We got
bill.
some more behind the barber shop too.
Yes, yes.
Why are they then charging water that's not there?
They have the ability to use the water on the piece of property they're paying them taxes on.
So that's what the bill is for, because they have access to it. It's not because they have actual water on. So that's what Mr. Aaron
Well
was saying.
said. That's true.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Okay, I got a motion to proceed with the lien. Do I hear a second? Okay, for lack of a second. So, all right, so then what is the pleasure of council on this particular situation?
I don't have an issue with the lien that was there before. What you know, what I'm saying, this lady been gone for this so long. So I'd rather see like how much of this is actual what was owed and how much of it is actually interest.
The problem with that is you have to remember that I've been making really great strides in. We have some watchdogs here in Bronson that like to bring to my attention when people are not paying the minimum water because they decided to keep a well. Okay? So, again, the state statute reads that if you have access, you know, the water is going by your house, but you chose to stay with your well. Or vice versa with sewer. You have the sewer line and you chose to keep your septic. We still charge them.
For sewer?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this property is going to accrue water no matter what. A water charge.
Okay.
Regardless.
But do-
If someone's there or not there, living or dead. It will continue to have this charge. I mean, that's the way, I believe that's the way the state statute reads, that's the way our ordinance reads. I mean, I'm just trying to enforce it. So yeah, regardless if she only owed $200 when she passed, it's still gonna accrue.
And then if you don't accrue it, then the question becomes,
Who do you do it for?
who do you don't?
Right.
Because it has to
Right.
be across the board.
So-
Because we have people now with 2 residents and one, nobody lives there, it's just a vacant property with a meter and they're being charged. So it doesn't mean that we can continue to charge
But
them.
the way that this is written, the lien would be for the 484 and that's it.
Correct, unless you resubmitted it after.
So if the 484 will get paid, and then it accrue more money, then you do it again?
Well, what'll happen is whoever buys the property at that point in time, the water bill will be theirs. Now they will be responsible for paying every month. And if they don't want to
It's
pay,
a part of purchasing the property.
correct.
Well, suppose somebody don't buy it to 10 years from now, that's what we're supposed to do.
Then you want to worry about that one.
It's, the lien
If
is
it's
still on the
renewed, if
property.
it's renewed every year with the incurred amount, it has to be renewed every year. If it's renewed every year, then that whatever the water bill is at that time will be on that tax deed, or when it's be sold. So it still occurs, it's still gonna raise it as long as they
It is the
do it
only-
every year. If
it
they
is the
don't, then
only
it's gonna be just that
avenue-
amount.
It is the only avenue that we have for collecting money.
Correct.
In this situation.
I mean, we have to.
Yeah, but nobody's there, where you getting money?
The next person
the
that
state.
buys it's gonna pay us.
10 years, 20 years?
That doesn't make
30
no
years?
difference. That's the
Well,
only.
that'll be a
avenue.
nice lump sum.
It's the only way.
Yeah. Don't think
But-
about it. I would-
Didn't you say something about finding out who paid the taxes on that
Correct, and I
property?
agree, Ray. Somebody's paying the taxes on
Right,
that
so
place, or it'd be
I
sold
don't know
already.
if you can get that information from the
Well,
county.
now you're making an assumption there. You don't know
Yeah, you
that
don't know
because you had check.
Yeah, I don't know for sure
What?
that they have paid the taxes on it. I don't
Well,
know.
it's
but
public
that's for
record.
sale,
But
right?
yeah, it's coming up. I mean,
Yeah, it's public records.
yeah.
Right.
You can look on. We can look online and see if they're up to date.
Or I mean, what about, can you see where, once she's passed, has anybody been paying the bill since then?
Right.
Yeah, they can go back and look through it.
Since paying what bill? The property taxes?
Like,
Yeah.
remember we had one resident that a family member died and they continued to pay it.
Right.
And then got mad and said, I'm not paying anymore, and just decided to stop paying it.
How long, when the last time the bill was paid, did you know that?
On both of these, it's been at least 4 or 5 months. Like I said, I don't usually do anything
4 or 5
for.
months?
So you said she did that
At
3 or 4
least.
years?
She been
And
there
that's-
for 4 or 5 months.
That's the
So
thing,
somebody
if
was
this is who I
Somebody
think it is,
did pay
right,
it.
Sue?
And
Yeah,
then-
so I think somebody was paying this. Yes.
They were paying it and then
They stopped.
something happened and they were like, I'm not paying anymore, and just flat out refused to
Oh,
pay
is
it.
that one?
They may be gone.
Because they were, no, they're not
They're
gone,
not
because
gone.
they were coming in and paying monthly since I've been here.
You talking about the house on Main Street?
Uh-huh.
That gray house?
I don't know which house it is,
Yeah,
but I know there's
exactly,
one or two
yeah.
on Main Street that
Well,
they were paying
Evelyn,
them.
not Evelyn, but Miss, I like to call her name. Well, I think Leon Marshall was paying that.
I don't
He
know.
lives in Gainesville, I can call him.
I don't think it was
Maria-
them.
I think I know why he stopped.
Okay.
So
What is
let's,
our?
let's do that, can he resubmit his motion? Can we do that?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead, Kizzy.
Make a motion for approval of resolution number 22-28.
I second.
Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Any motion carries. All right.
Property taxes were paid in 21, just to let you know. Unpaid in 22, but somebody was paying them on their property. So. All right, next up is where am I? Florida Rural Water. Okay, so in our last council meeting, we were discussing with Andrew Green from Florida Rural Water when the last time the town took increases on the sewer. So I found this on my computer. This was, I believe, the last, at least comprehensive wastewater rate study that was done. It was done in December of 2016. Some of the highlights that I found. It had said at the time, in the executive summary, the systems were not creating reserves for future capital replacement needs and contingencies. Wastewater revenues were not adequate to meet the projected expenditure and debt service requirements for the wastewater system. They recommended at the time increasing the base rate from $17.50 to $34.31, which is pretty close to what it is now. Also found in here, which I did not know, that the $71,000 loan payment to the USDA is supposed to be equally divided between the water account and the sewer account. Had you been doing that? Were you taking the $71,000 loan payment to the USDA? And here, the person who did this was told that it was supposed to come half from water and half from sewer. I think you always have just done it out of sewer, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not, I can go in and this past one that we just did, I can fix it and split the
Do it
payment.
half and half, okay. That was interesting. At the time, they proposed that the town do some sort of adjustment using a verifiable index published by the Florida Public Service Commission. And they also recommended implementing annual cost of living adjustments in rates without fail, or Bronson would be facing the same situation again in a few years. So I believe if you look on page, where is it? Go with all the numbers. Page 4. You can see that they had proposed taking a 32% rate increase in year 1, another 32% rate increase in year 2, and another 32% rate increase in year 3. So it's a total of 96%, but over a 3-year period. And I believe that was taken, if I'm not mistaken. This B just is not here, right? I believe it had to have been taken because we're at 3568 right now is the base. So I believe that it was taken. I don't think anything was taken since then. But this is the actual last one that was done on just the wastewater. So I just want everybody to have that. Do you remember that, Ms. B, the last Florida Rural Water rate study? It looks like they had recommended doing a 32% increase in year 1, 32% increase in year 2, and 32% increase in year 3. So it was 96% total.
No, it was actually supposed to be, I think it was like 33% total. It was going to do it, wastewater.
No, not water, wastewater.
Wastewater.
Because the rate went from $17.50 up to 30, almost 35. It doubled, basically, in 3 years. So I'm assuming that was done because we're at that rate now.
And it did go up tremendously because they wasn't being charged enough to
Time. Right. So I just wanted you to have that.
3 years are up on that, I'm
Right.
pretty sure.
Correct. Yeah. I think it was, I'm guessing it was taken in 17, 18, and 19?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's the backstory on that because I know somebody had asked about that. The next resolution, 22-29, this is one of the ones that you guys asked for at the last council meeting. This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Bronson and the County of Levy, Florida, authorizing increases in the rates to be charged by the Town of Bronson for the furnishing of potable water and the disposition of wastewater, including effective dates and notice parameters. So the way Attorney Worm drafted this resolution, he put, and again, this is entirely up for conversation, but number 1, the existing rates for the furnishing of potable water by the Town of Bronson shall be increased universally by 5% effective October 1st of 2023. So that's what, on the water side, that's what Andrew recommended, a 5% increase basically every year. The existing rate for the disposition of wastewater shall be increased in 2 increments by 25% effective March 1st of this year, and additional 25% effective March 1st of next year. Then my thought was if you guys wanted to do the CPI after that, you could do that effective October 1st of 2024 of just a 5% or whatever the CPI is at that point, and then that would get you current, assuming you wanted to do that. So that's why I said,
Keep you up.
right, that's why I said hold off on the other CPI one. But this is what Andrew recommended. Of course, you guys can do whatever you feel like, but this is what Andrew recommended in his rate study.
So the 5% increase would be every year?
Not per this resolution, but assuming we go ahead and do a CPI resolution, then yes, it would be whatever the CPI is, which could be 3%, 4%, 5%. Or if you guys just wanted to say 5%, I mean, however you want to do it. But I wanted to kind of treat these separately because I wasn't sure how you were going to feel about this first before we even talk about CPI.
Now, the 5% is just on water.
Correct.
And then the 25% is on the sewer.
Correct. Because remember, we just took an 11.5% on water last year and 11.5%, 2022 and 2021. So that's why we don't really need to do anything for water until October 1st.
All right, any discussion? Yes, sir.
Yes, I think that we need to raise the sewer. The only question is the 25% is, I don't know why we didn't take any action in 2019 when this was up. You know, so we're actually paying for our past sins, I guess.
That's
You know what I mean? And
We've been coasting.
yeah, I would propose that we try 20% and see how that works, and then bring it back in 6 months or something. And also, I would make it a yearly practice to review stuff like this, so this doesn't happen and get another 3-year gap, and then we have to raise everything higher to catch up the gap.
To answer your question, we crunched a whole bunch of numbers in here with the computers and everything else. And we looked at all kinds of different scenarios. And we had Andrew to work everything in the world. Believe me, this is other than just sticking your head in a hole in the ground, this is the best scenario, what we've got here. To keep us above water in a short, not in the short term, in 2 to 3 years.
Right.
So these increases will allow us to not only pay what we owe, but it gives us a reserve. That's what this is.
Over time, not
Over
right
time.
away.
No,
Over time.
that's what I mean. Over time.
It's putting us in the right direction for 2024.
Yeah, I hear that he looked at all the scenarios and everything, but he's doing an estimate, an approximate, and we can't foresee that it's exactly right. So that's why I'm asking for a lower amount for not only the tenants, but the people that live in Bronson. To be hit with a 25% thing is pretty hard.
So the figure would be,
But then if you only do it a 20%, or you do less this time, you're going to have to do more next time. So at least if it's 25 and 25,
Maybe.
but that's exactly why we've gotten into the position we are right now, because we didn't do something.
We didn't do anything for 3 years. That's why we got here.
So we've been coasting.
Okay.
So that's what's created this scenario right now.
Thank you for letting me share.
So you'd be going from roughly $35 a month to roughly $45 a month, and then roughly $55 a month.
On what?
Sewer.
Sewer?
So it's about a $10 increase.
Well, that's sewer that I know about that.
Perhaps can you run it back to me one more time?
So-
Going from 35.
35 to about 45.
Now.
Correct, in the first one.
Past the 25.
Right, and then to about 55 ultimately. Yeah.
In a year or in 6 months? Or?
No, a year.
it's a year.
A year from
But I
March
think
1st.
still in the motion or whatever you make, we have to put something in there that we review this every year, or we're going to be right back here again if the 25% didn't work. It may be 30%. So somehow we can't let it slip by for 3 years.
Right, we need to be doing these rate studies on a yearly basis. Absolutely.
Yes.
I agree with you.
Yes.
100%.
But that has nothing to do with this ordinance.
No, it has nothing to do with it.
Unfortunately not. I mean, sorry.
Sorry.
All right.
Can you make it like a part of the regular budget stuff? That you do, and every year we do the budget in September. Why wouldn't
We can.
check on the rate increase be a part of that? Since you're looking at money anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at the overall anyway. So if we just add that in, it's not like it's another thing that we're adding. It's something that we should be doing anyway.
Absolutely. And we don't pay for these. I mean, this is just part of our, so I mean, it's not like we have to.
And then,
budget that money.
and then that gives us a more accurate kind of picture of what we're looking at budget-wise before we finalize it.
Sure.
That would be my request.
They would need to start doing that now, though, since we start our budgeting actually in June to figure out what we're making, or what we'll have.
All right, any other discussion? All right, pleasure of the council.
I make a motion that we pass resolution 22-29 as written.
I'll second.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carried.
All right, switching gears back to increase of building fees. So, again, at the last council meeting, you guys asked for a sample as to what the permit fee schedule might look like if we went with the city of Crystal Rivers. So theirs was pretty long, but it had a whole bunch of stuff in it that really didn't apply to us, like seawalls and stuff like that. So this that's in front of you is literally a 1 page. Everything that's in the yellow are things that we don't currently have. So for instance, if you look at the very first thing, permit drop-off fee. Non-refundable and is included in the required building permit fee, not in addition to the required building permit fee. So in Crystal River, when you drop off your application, they have to pay a fee. And then if they decide not to go forward with it, basically the city gets to keep that $120 and, right, non-refundable. Retaining walls, we don't currently do. Fire sprinklers, lawn irrigation. Time extensions, which is an interesting one. So if, they don't do something in a timely fashion and then we gotta restart the whole process, they charge $50 for an extension. So this is what it would look like if we basically mirrored Crystal River. Then we gave you another option. Attorney Warren came up with drafted resolution number 22-30, which is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Bronson and the County of Levy, Florida, authorizing a required increase in the fee for applying for a building permit as related to single-family residences. So this basically puts, just like I think it was in Williston and Crystal River, if I'm not mistaken, the fee for applying for a building permit to construct or in place a single-family residence of any size or description shall be a sum of $2,500. If you just wanted to go with that, as opposed to changing the entire fee schedule. Kind of give you a couple different options there. If you wanted to keep ours, which is roughly 10 pages or so.
The resolution kind of keeps it the way it is, it just increases the amount.
Correct. If you want to just keep everything the way it is, but just change that one thing, we can do that. Or if you want to just adopt like what Crystal River has, we can do something like that. Just kind of trying to get your feedback there.
I understand the $120 just for dropping it off. Like, because I bought my form to you, that cost $120. That's a big one.
They really gouge you there, huh?
So I'm confused. I don't have the paper in front of me that you have, so I'm confused on what you're saying. You're gonna take the fee from what to what?
So they're thinking about making it a flat rate
Right?
of $2,500.
Yep,
You want to build a house,
I'm for that all the way.
$2,500, or Crystal River over here has a fee schedule with items on it, right? Just to submit the application costs you $120 to hand it to me. And if you decide later on you don't want to build a house, well, we're going to keep you $120 because you came in and talked to us. And but other things, there's a couple ways you can look at this. Depending on the size of the home, the $2,500 fee may be better for somebody that's going to build a decent sized home.
Dad, this might sound stupid, but you should make, I didn't mean to cut you off, but this says single family residence. I'm currently building duplexes. So then where does that fall in? Why don't we just make it straight across the board? If you're building some kind of residence, you have to pay the fee. Because then you're going to have to make an
Because we
ordinance
discussed a
for.
percentage. Isn't that what, didn't we talk about that too?
We did. Which again, that would fall more under the Crystal River. If you look under building fees, residential permit, it says 1.25% cost of construction.
Right, that's what I was getting to. Like, if we went this route, then fees are going to be, the permit fees are going to be different for each person because each home is going to be a different size, and nobody's going to, the guy that's building a little old house that just meets the square footage, well, he'll pay $2,500, whereas guy wants to build a large single family home, well, he's also going to pay the $2,500 that the guy that only built something at 560 square feet paid as well.
Right.
So that's the only.
You might want to go by the square footage.
Well, that's what I'm kind of, even though, you know, that ugly $120 drop-off fee.
I mean, we don't have to do that. We can take
Yeah,
that
no,
part off.
we can adjust this.
Of course.
We can adjust, I think we should adjust this instead of the flat rate. And maybe I'm wrong. But Ray brings up a fine point as far as like the duplexes that he is building as well.
Technically, that's 2 single-family homes.
Technically,
Yeah,
yes.
that's $5 grand.
Technically. You're getting $1,000 away, so hey.
See, what I did is I took, Williston's and Bronson's and added them together and divided it, comes up to 2,500. So I thought that was fair, to take the high one and take the lower one and add it together and divide it. But I see what you're saying, what if it's a 4,000 square foot house, the people can't, if they're building that big a house, they can afford
Correct.
to pay the percentage.
Correct.
And the guy that builds 600 square foot can't afford to pay the $2,500 and build a 600 square foot house.
That's
And the
kind of,
impact is different.
that's kind of where I'm at, Ray. I mean,
I follow you.
Well, let's take the house that we talked about, I think it was at the last council meeting, the house on Marshburn, at the end of Marshburn, that just sold for $268,
Yeah.
right?
You mean the one with the fence?
Yes,
Well, we got
that
the
one,
fence.
the fence one, yes. So if you're at, the flat would give you the 25, the 1.25% is going to give you 33.50.
Say it again now.
correct.
So if you're going with the resolution, you're going to get 2,500 again, regardless of whatever the cost of construction is. But if again we go back to this percentage base, 1.25% of 268,000 is $3,350.
Yeah, but what's 1% instead of 1.25?
No, 1% would be $2,000.
2,600.
2,600?
No,
Yeah, see.
if it's 200,000, 1% is $2,000.
But the house is.
Oh, sorry, 268. I'm sorry. You're right. I'm sorry. Yes, 268. Yes, 2,600. Right. So you could change that to 1% instead of 1.25 if you'd rather go with a lower percentage.
Yeah, see, I don't think increases are bad. I just think if you go too high, then you stunt stuff. If you keep it, increase it, yes,
Yeah,
but keep it in the middle of the road
yeah. Still feasible.
for everybody. The 600 square foot house or the 4,000 square.
What?
Yeah.
Just to refresh my memory, what would the permit fee on that house be that they just finished?
I think it
I
was.
don't know. Yeah.
I don't either, but it was probably the duplex was. I don't know.
Well, he did. Let's see.
I think it was 20 something. 20.
He did a $200,000 house when he did this example. So I can extrapolate out from there just to give you a rough number.
That's all right, all right.
I mean-
What do the county charge for this outside the street limit?
Oh, I don't
I
know.
think they're high.
I have no idea what the county charges.
Can we find out that?
I can.
That's
A
where it is.
lot of houses is outside the street limit, there's a lot of them going up. And somebody told me they were paying, say, just for instance, say, say they were paying $300 when they first did it, then they had to pay $600. I mean, that's just an example now, that's not the actual figure, because I don't know what to say.
Right.
So, if we can find out what the county charging for permits, because there's a lot of people moving down past me, the house is going down there, they going out of style. And, so we can find out what they charging, and maybe we can kind of, since they're right here,
Make it similar.
yeah, in the same area, see what they're charging for permits in the surrounding area here,
Outside the city.
outside the city limit. Thank you, Jerry.
Because it could be like, as far, from one side to the other side.
Yeah.
All right, so what you're saying is we want to table this till,
To see what the county does.
Ray, do you know?
I do not. I do not. My builder could tell me, but I don't have that information, because I don't do anything in the county, I do everything in Bronson.
I think Dan paid about $2,400. That's my best guess with everything. It's about 24.
We'll see what the county does. You gotta be fair, you know, I would suggest.
I mean, I like this platform that they have. I mean,
And then Dave likes it too, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's, you know, you gotta cooperate with him too, I don't know.
It's just simpler. I mean, there's not a lot to it. It's one page.
Yeah.
Real easy to calculate things, you know. So, but yeah, I can look at the county. I can report back with that.
Okay. All right, so we need to table this then?
Yes, 2230. Yes.
All right, I need to make a motion. to
Somebody
table.
should make that motion to table for further
Yeah,
consideration.
table.
I make a motion to table resolution 22-30 for further consideration.
I second.
Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
Wow, we missed something on that. What about all the other permits? You know, like a fence permit, a shed permit, all those permits. They go up a tiny bit, and I don't know what they've been for the last few years.
Yeah, need to look at all of them.
But it says miscellaneous building fees not listed.
And all these little pennies are gonna add up.
Yeah, I think they all went under
The miscellaneous?
the miscellaneous. Yeah. So residential permit it would be a minimum of $120.
Yeah, or the 1% or whatever. I don't
It's
know.
either again on here 1.25% of the cost of construction or a minimum of $120. So pretty much a minimum of $120 for anything with them. Can't walk into town hall.
It's gonna go up.
It depends on what they decide to do.
Just if we're reviewing, we might as well
Right.
review.
Well, I mean, because remember, right now we're at what 85 for everything. That's kind of our base is 85. So you'd be going from 85 to 120 with this.
With that new paper.
Correct.
I got it. Okay.
All right, moving.
All right. 22-31. Resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Bronson in the County of Levy, Florida, authorizing the assessment of service call charges where users claim leakage attributable to the Town of Bronson where there is no reasonable cause to support such claim and investigation so establishes. So again, this is based on our conversation at the last council meeting. If somebody is asking for a leak check and it's during business hours, they would be charged $40 during business hours, $80 after hours. And if we find out that there is a leak, then that would, on our end, then that would be reimbursed.
Do we have some like habitual
Yes,
offenders?
you missed it, yes.
Yeah.
Just trust me, yes.
I mean, I'm for it, but I'm just wondering why. It
We have
brought
people-
up.
They get their water bill's too high, I need you to come out here and check.
Oh,
It might be Sunday afternoon.
And it can be $5 higher than what it normally is.
It could be $3 higher than what it was.
I mean, I knew it had to be something.
32
I had to-
cents.
Well, here, I'll give you a perfect example that's happened today. So Alexis was off, so
32 cents.
Wendy and I were dealing with all of the craziness today, and someone came in and said, I'm a snowbird, and I've been out of town, and I get the water bill, and there's 200 gallons used. And we're like, okay. And he's like, well, can you come out and check for a leak? And I said, well, regardless of whether or not there's a leak, it's under 2,000 gallons, you're still going to be charged $14.19. So you want me to send somebody out there, basically you want me to be your plumber, right? Because you're asking me to go check for something for free, and you're still going to pay the $14.19 anyway. But that's the kind of stuff we get all day long.
And it's every week. We have a leak check-in minimum of one time a week, every week,
Oh,
for
okay.
52 weeks a year.
All right, what was said at the last meeting, we will let all these people know about those charges.
Yes.
To prevent
On the
that.
front.
Yeah, when they
Did
call.
we send them a letter?
No,
When they call.
No, that when
When
they
they
call
call.
and ask for a leak check, we will explain the price.
So you gonna tell them then?
Mr. Light.
You got to pass the ordinance first, Mr. Light,
Yeah.
before you send
We have to
it.
pass
first.
it.
Oh, so you have, okay.
Okay, we gotta pass it first.
All right, well.
Gotta stand the domino up until we knock it down.
And Elijah, Alexis is really good about this. Like one thing he does when he takes like a payment over the phone is he tells people there's a 3% fee to pay over the phone with a credit card. Every single call I hear him say that. Every single one, even though it's the same people that call him every time. He's very good about that. So he'll tell people like, hey, we'll come out there, but it's gonna cost you $40. Is it worth it? Is it worth it for the $3 increase you had on your water bill to now you
Because
pay
it's
$40?
costing us more as
Well,
a
once
city.
it passed, hope we send these people. some kind of notice.
No.
Well, we'll let them know when they
that?
call. No, when they call,
When they call.
and they ask for a leak check, we'll let them know the
And I
pricing.
keep on telling you, son, the way Central Florida they can do it, if you call, say, I don't got no power, they tell you to check everything,
Yeah.
breakers,
Right.
everything in that house. Because if it's your fault, we gonna charge you a service charge.
And it's like a
But
$200
if-
service charge.
Yeah, but if it's our fault, there's no cost. So they tell you, make sure you check your breakers.
Right.
Anything else you wanna check. Because we come out there and it's your fault, we gonna charge.
That's any business.
Ah,
Internet,
yeah.
the telephone, all of it is the
I
same
think what
way.
I'm trying to say is when we put it into place, maybe put it in your newsletter.
I can put it in the newsletter. Yeah, absolutely.
We're not
Yeah.
mailing specific letters just for that, because that's,
22.
No, but I can put it in the newsletter, of course. Yes.
All right, I got a motion. Make a motion that we accept 22-31.
I second.
Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those same, motion carried.
All right, next up is the contract with Benton Farms. I guess we were in the middle of a 3-year contract and it just ended December of 2022. So they sent me this, another 3-year contract through December of 2025. They kept the amount at $2,000. The reason I didn't want to just sign this is I wanted to make sure you guys were okay with this and you were okay with the amount.
What is this? What is it?
Benton Farms, you guys are probably better at this than I am.
What it is, Sherry, it's the piece of land over by the
By the sheriff's department,
that's vacant,
Okay.
and he just used it to grow hay or something. It's just sitting there.
Up there, peanuts out there, and
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
And we've been charging it net for 30 years. I think everything else going up.
well, this is my thing though. We got anybody beating at the door wanting to rent it also?
You can try it.
If he says no, you know what, y'all keep it. Now we ain't got $2,000 either.
And it has to meet certain requirements, because then the solar panel people want to go there.
Right,
And it
remember that?
has to meet certain requirements. It has to be like ag
Yeah.
related to do it.
Plus, the solar panels were going to be a disaster, so I'm glad that didn't happen.
I need to bring something to the table here, and that is the 3-year contract. Because of what we are looking at on this proposed pipeline thing, if we enter into a 3-year contract and down the road, because it being around where our spray field is at and all that could come into place, so we change this to a 1-year. I do not think a 3-year would hurt right now, but anything's possible.
Thoughts?
Any discussion? I have no problem with the figure.
Okay.
it's just a year.
Yeah, I mean, David's been doing a good job there. He
Yeah.
does it adequate, everything's fine.
Yeah, it's not
I've
like
got
we're
no
running
problem
out
with
for
it
the check.
whatsoever. He'll run you down to pay you, so. That's the only thing I need to, if you wanna go with it.
Is there any way we can word it to where if we have to, we can opt out of this contract?
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the breach agreement? Or is there not?
It doesn't look like there is
Mr.
one.
Warren, you got any enlightenment on this?
Not really, but if you tell me what you want to do,
Well-
chances are 99 out of 100 that I can implement with the appropriate language.
We got two 20-acre parcels that we leased to David Benton Farms, for $2,000. For him, a year, for him to grow peanuts on, or farm. And you're very familiar what we're talking about with the other situation that's going on.
Yes.
So, I mean, realistically, 3 years is not a problem right now, but it could be down, it could come into play.
So you want the flexibility?
Yes, that's the only thing.
Okay, is it up for renewal? Is that what's going on now?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
So
We want a way out.
Are we committed committed to give him another 3 years? I'm not looking at it, so, I'm groping in the dark. The current contract,
I'll tell you what, why don't we just send you the contract and let you take it, and we'll table it and bring it back to the next
okay.
meeting.
But knowing what your motivation is, once I look at the contract, I'll give you a definitive
Okay,
answer.
all right, let's get it.
Okay.
There's an opt-out on in here, but it's only if he doesn't do what he's supposed to.
Correct.
Right,
Yeah.
not for us.
I mean, we,
So long as we just cut it down, if 3 years too much, we think we can just cut it down to 2 years instead of 3.
I mean, we could keep it at 3 years, and if something happens.
I just need to have,
I
I
can't
think
see
it would be
anything.
wise on our part
For years with that.
to have some way to opt out.
Well, let Mr. Warren work on it.
Yeah.
I make a motion we table this.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, just, we need a way out. Or
I-
if it gets cut short 6 months, then we reimburse him a percentage of what it would be if you did it on a monthly payment of $2,000.
The general rule I tell you is the shorter the period, the more control you have.
He got fired.
I'll have something more to
So I have nothing to add.
All right, so, we need a motion to table this.
I did.
Okay, I've got a motion to table this to the following meeting. Mr. Warren, check on it for us. Do I hear a second?
I say.
All right, if the properly moved and seconded, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, say. All right.
Okay.
I make a motion we table.
You've been doing pretty good on this.
I know.
All you do is
It's easy for you, but then it's hard for me.
table, never do nothing.
All right, next up, last on my agenda, look at that. My contract is up for renewal as of January 31st of this month. So I gave you a couple things in the packet. One is the employee performance review that I gave you guys last year. I'd love if you fill it out. That'd be great. And number 2 is just my current employment agreement. I remember last year, Councilor Schuler asked me if there was any changes to the contract that I would like, and I will tell you my preference. Number 1, I would love to be under a longer term, maybe a 2-year term, if that's amenable to the council.
5 years.
I don't know about 5 year, that might be a little long, but
2 years, I mean, look at what we do up here.
I understand, but I mean, at least 2 year, I would like a longer term. And I would appreciate a bump in compensation because I did not take one last year, so. I don't know if you guys want to. I put 5% in the budget, so I would like a 5%.
I guess my question would be the cost for us to provide with, okay, so the way the school board does it, the way that we get raises kind of is dependent on, did our insurance go up, did our stuff go up, because that is a raise, so to speak, if they cover all the costs of that. So is there an increase to your benefits package? So that's, I guess that would be.
Yes, our benefits went up about $1,000, I want to say, a year, right? About.
But see, Sherry, you gotta realize, she don't pay for her benefits.
Right, we don't either, but if the cost for the total package to the county goes up, then that changes what we get or what's available to us as a raise. If they cover, like my health insurance, I pay extra for it because the deductible is a little ridiculous for what they pay for. So, but I could have it where they pay for the whole thing, but the cost of what they pay goes up every year. So if it goes up so much, then that makes our raise less money available for them to pay us more. Does that make sense?
I will say too, though, as an employee, that's not how we did our employee raises. So,
Okay.
I don't know, I think it's kind of unfair to do it to her and not to us. And then the other thing too is, our benefits used to be lower because we didn't have as many full-time people. We actually had 2 full-time people, and now we have 7 full-time people. So it's gonna go up. You know what I mean? Those are just things to take into consideration. Maybe next
So
year.
how was y'all's increase done differently from?
Ours was done.
We did them off this.
They did them off that,
Yeah.
but it was the directors, so Sue and Curtis, and them did it employee performance.
Is it in the, can we afford to give you 5%?
I put it in the budget, yes.
Should be no. Oh boy.
I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm asking these questions because I feel like they need to be asked.
Of course.
And because it's like we're already looking at the increases in other things because we didn't budget in what the amount needed to be when we were doing it. So I just want to make sure that we don't say, okay, we're going to agree to a 5% increase and then it ain't really something that we can afford.
Nope, we budgeted for 5% for everybody across the board this year.
Across the board?
Across the board, correct.
What you need approval of?
Getting away from the year to the 2 year, or the 5 year, whatever.
Right.
Can I make a comment? I've dealt with a couple different administrations here at the Bronson Town Hall, and it's got tremendously better dealing with the town hall since Sue has come on board. She's very calm and deals with situations and follows through on it. So I just wanted to say I'm totally for that.
Well, again, it's something this town been needing. And it's a lot of work that I can see.
I think we'll all concur with that. So,
Because I guarantee you, if any of y'all want to sit and do what she do, I don't think.
all right, what is the pleasure of the council?
$5% will take your salary up to what?
73.5.
You need a system.
Right?
You want me to hire you?
2 or 3. There's times. Yes. Okay. Any other discussion? What is the pleasure of the council then?
Can I ask one thing real quick about vacation and sick leave? So it's 30 days per calendar year of sick leave,
Yeah,
and then 7 personal days per year,
yeah,
and then 15 days of vacation.
correct.
Well, I'm just making sure it's not like
I didn't write this, just in my defense.
it's
I
like
didn't
if
write
you
that.
work so many hours, do you get more, or
Nope,
that's so straightforward?
nope. I can tell you, I hope to never use 30 days of sick leave in a
What
year in
happens
my
if
life.
if you don't use your 30 days? Does it just go what?
Well, you can cash them out.
It accrues.
Yes, you get so many, I think it's 240 you can carry.
No, that's vacation.
Sick.
Sick.
In this contract, all hers are unlimited.
Oh, okay.
I have to look at the manual because
No.
we do have a cap for vacation. I don't think we have a cap for sick. But we also we don't get paid out our sick pay unless it's an approval through the council if we put in our notice. And that has to be approved
You
specifically
have to
for you
be
guys.
here
You could-
10 years to cash out.
On the sick time, you don't cap it, but, when you leave, you get paid a certain
Portion.
percentage.
Yeah,
of it.
because Melissa got paid, so you guys approved
You
it
get
for
a
hers.
certain percentage of it.
Right.
But you can't, if you're not sick, you're not sick.
Right.
You accumulate on sick time, you won't, you just don't, when you leave, you get paid a certain percentage of it.
Correct.
Yeah, I think it was like 25%.
Correct.
Well, I'm just going to read to you what it says right here.
Yeah, I got you.
It says the employee is entitled to accrue all unused leave without limit, and in the event the employee's employment is terminated, either voluntary or involuntary, the employee shall be compensated for all accrued leave. Everything.
I don't think nobody do that.
Yeah.
Not, it should be a percentage, it should be where all, vacation time and a certain percentage of the, sick time. That's what it should be, written.
Doesn't say compensated at 100% though, because again, in the manual it says 25% or whatever. Yeah, you don't. It's not at 100%.
And I agree, that's what the manual says, but
it's not in
I'm
the
looking at this,
contract.
I'm looking at this legal binding contract right
Right.
here that says everything.
So would you want me to change that to?
I mean, I just, I
Match
think
up what
it's,
says
it
in
should
the-
be clarified.
Okay.
Why don't you change it to what the rest of the.
Okay. Yeah. We'll just make it. That's the manual says.
And then everything will be in the same accord, you know. In other words, your sick leave and vacation time would be just like the rest of us.
Right. In terms of cash and government.
And then
Yeah.
there won't be no confusion.
Right. I got you.
Okay, first of all, I think what she said to you, she said the 5% is in the budget.
Oh, that's not.
We're okay with that, we're past that, we're just asking about other things in the contract.
So that should be pertaining to people like the deputy clerk.
We talking about demonstration, we talking about this too.
No, it's overall thing.
No, not.
No, this
She
is
got a contract.
Yeah, I know she got a
They hire
contract.
as employees.
I know she got.
There's a difference.
Well,
All right, so why don't you change that
Yep.
and then,
Bring it back.
Bring it back with the revised,
And then we'll vote on it.
pay increase and
Okay.
the
Accrual
2-year.
limits, right?
2 years, y'all good with it?
Yeah, you do 2 years.
Yeah, I mean,
Go
You need a
to-
motion on that?
2
Like
years.
2 years? Or you want-
No, I want you to just bring it back.
no, she'll bring her
Back.
revised back, it'll be her new
Okay.
proposal for
Okay.
us.
Can I ask
2
a question?
years,
I just want
right?
to clarify. You guys aren't changing the rate of accrual, right? She's keeping the same how much she's getting. It's just the accrual
Correct.
limits. Like if that's the only thing that's changing. Okay.
All right, is that right? Is that good, Mr. Warren?
Makes sense to me.
Okay.
Well, hold on. We're talking 2 years, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Right there, sir. Okay. Anything else, sir?
No.
Okay.
I'm done for me. Now I get to go for Curtis.
All right.
All right. So
Okay.
Curtis.
See you, Ray.
All right.
Happy New Year.
Okay, I know we've been talking about the town hall deck several times. I think at the last meeting you guys asked for us to get another quote to demolish the deck and replace it with basically like the metal one like is over at Bail Bonds, Tony Weeks' place. So 6,500 is the quote on that. I think the last quote he gave us was 9,500 if I'm not mistaken to redo the entire deck. So it brings it down a little bit.
Did we make it small or not?
Yes, he made it smaller, Mr. Aaron, and he's gonna add an aluminum ramp. The deck's gonna be 8 by 12 at the rear door, install metal handicap ramp, build 2 sets of steps for other doors.
8 by 12?
8 by 12.
Okay.
Well, whatever we do, we need to hurry. That day is literally falling apart.
That's the only estimate we got? You right?
What was your question?
That was the only estimate we got?
But the other one was so ridiculous.
Yeah.
We got
Yeah,
18.
This is the guy. Yeah, that was A1 aluminum. Yeah, this is the guy that does all of our repairs at the park and what was he? The former shop person at the high school or something?
Yeah, Kevin Williams.
Kevin Williams. Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Okay.
Hey, he was my teacher, so
Oh, okay.
I've been in that class.
I honestly don't. I don't know if we could get this much cheaper, to be honest with you.
Well, no, the price of the material, the price of the ramp itself is probably $2,500.
Make a nice project.
We tried
We tried.
to get the students to do it at the school. Me and Sue had a conversation and we called them and Mr. Meyer said no, because Keaton's in the class and Keaton would love to do it. Keaton said he would come up there and just do it for fun.
Did he say what?
Transportation, I think, was the issue.
I got a van, I would let me use my van.
Because where I'm from, all of our pavilions and our buildings are construction class A because they would earn certificates for it. And they come out of school for it. Listen, me and Keaton had a whole conversation. Keaton's been trying to figure out how to do it.
transportation as in no way to get the kids from the school to here.
Right, Sue? Wasn't that the biggest issue?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. It was a while ago. I mean, we talked to him probably over the summer.
Yeah, we did it before.
It was a
school
while
started.
ago. We've been working on this for probably 6 months.
Since I think the last time I fell for the
Oh,
deck.
if you did it during the summer, you don't have access to the kids. But I mean, during
But we did it, we started during the summer trying to talk to him about it.
I mean, I can reach back out to him again. I mean, I haven't talked to him in a while.
well, I can ask him Thursday. If you
Okay.
just send me a little reminder, I'll ask him Thursday what would be the hang up to them doing that, because those kids get certified for the stuff that they do, and if we can do something in town instead of paying somebody to come from out of town almost $7,000 to do it, then I'd rather do that.
And it's
I mean, I did the same thing with like they fixed the steps like to my house. I took him out there and they fixed it. He made a project for the kids and they redid my front steps and my back steps, and it was a lot less expensive, and it was a project for them, something that they could do and learn from.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, I'd rather see that. I mean, if he can't, he can't. But I'd rather at least ask him before we approve to spend $6,000 on an outside person coming in doing it when our own kids could be doing it.
Yeah, trust me. To me, it doesn't matter to me who does it, but yeah, I don't want Wendy falling through the deck again. That's for sure.
So, like I said, and if you remind me Thursday when we go back to work, I will ask him Thursday, talk to him about it.
Okay.
Almost fell off the railing.
Yeah, but they go through that 3 times. I see 1 time or 2 times, but I know 3 times.
Well,
They do a lot of work at the softball field. I don't know why, you know what I'm saying? Even if we could have a bus bring them and drop them off and pick them up,
Right.
we could figure that part out.
Okay.
Okay.
So you tabling that one too?
Tabling.
Table it.
Hey, it was broke down thing.
Don't forget, hey, run it off, send me something
I will.
Thursday.
I'll send you something Thursday.
All right, I need okay, we'll just table that and let Curtis bring it back.
That's fine.
We table it, need a motion.
Okay.
Second.
Properly moved to second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same carried.
All right, last is, Curtis really just wanted you guys to have this information. I hope I explain it correctly,
I hope so too.
because,
So I'm eager.
all right, so this is what he told me. I think he came before the council with a quote for a generator, a very expensive generator, like a 6-figure generator. And instead of doing a generator, we have an option to do a sump pump, which is what this is basically, a high-powered sump pump. It would be used at multiple lift stations, and it can be used to pump water when there's water leaks. If you guys are interested in doing something like this, obviously this is a $49,000 project. I would have to go to bid because it's in excess of $25,000. But Curtis just wanted to let you guys know that this was an option rather than doing a generator, another generator.
What was the generator? I don't remember the generator. What was the generator for?
Was it for the...
I think it wasn't before.
It was one of the lift stations. Which one? Stevens Street? Stevens Street lift station? Thank you.
I know, I was there for part of the conversation.
I know what we're talking about now. Yeah.
Well, the sump pump, I walked in at the end of it, and I know with the water leaks, he was concerned. Like the water leak we had for Stoney's, part of the issue we had was
You couldn't control the water flow.
right. So the sump pump would help.
And I agree 100% because I mean I know what this machine is and I know what it will do.
We use
These are the same machines you see on like side of I-75 whenever they're pumping
Gotcha.
out to be able to work down in those holes.
Of a few.
Yeah, correct. It's got a 50 horsepower Kohler on it.
We use them on the fire department. We serve
But-
sump pumps.
I mean, again, it's $50,000. Yes, and if we use it once a year, twice a year, I mean,
Well, I know he
we
said
can
to
rent one
have.
from True Value. I don't know.
So we do have access to rent something.
Yeah, you can rent them.
You can rent that. Yeah, you can rent that from not CarQuest, but Rental, True
You know,
Value.
rent all the-
Okay.
yeah.
You can rent them
Like
big pumps.
flat,
Okay.
yeah.
And that's why I was hoping Curtis was going to be here so I could really ask him because maybe he's got a specific.
I know from the bill standpoint, we've had to call out Jones Septic and them quite a few times.
Yeah, but the thing is about that, you can't just take this pump and stick it down in that well and just pump the poo out onto the ground.
No, you can't.
Okay, so you can't use that for this.
Oh, okay, so
You
they
can't
just
use
pump
this
it
for
down.
that. You can't pump them tanks out and
remember him
just put,
saying
and
you
just
use
put
it-
that.
The raw sewage, yeah.
That's highly against the law. So this is for clean water only.
Right.
That
Well, he
water
said you
main-
could use it at the lift station, didn't he?
You did.
For the lift stations, which is why I said that, so.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, this is probably better of Curtis conversation.
That's not the first question.
Well, and that's why, yes, I
Unfortunately,
Came up with it.
yes, we'll table that too.
Because
We didn't get a lot done today.
you can't pump that on the ground. So,
But I mean, in general, do you think this was something you'd be interested in? Because if so, then I can put something out to bid. If not, then obviously I don't want to waste our time. You know what I mean?
I think we'll get more return out of the generator at the lift station for when the power goes out to keep
Okay.
that thing moving
Okay.
than we will. You know, if our infrastructure was just growing tremendously down our commercial corridor here, and we're possibly fixing to be running into major water breaks and things like that from construction, then I could see purchasing this piece of equipment so we'd have it readily available right there on hand. We could run down, we could pump the hole while we're trying to get in there and fix it. But most of our water breaks aren't that substantial. I'm not saying we ain't had a few bad ones, and it would have been nice to have this pump, but to not use it enough for the carburetor to go bad every year, we gotta take it to the shop whenever we do need it, because it don't run because the gas been sitting in it for 285 days. And then we still rent one because we gotta take ours to the shop.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look at all the avenues before we spend $49.99.
I got you. No, it's a lot of money. Trust me, when I looked at that, I was like, is that the right amount? It's pricey.
So yes.
All right, so we'll just, we'll wait till Curtis gets back and we'll discuss this.
And like I said,
We're gonna take it just complete.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next on the agenda, Mr. Attorney,
You sleep?
Mr. Warren.
Yes, but I'm not sleeping.
I want to
Very
be.
sad question. My eyes are closed, but I'm not sleeping.
Okay, then, I do that sometimes too.
So, Mr. Worm, I put on the agenda for you to discuss the Scott Grant Wilson Avenue appraisals for the easements.
Oh, okay. Well, we got to get the, I guess the holiday interfered with progress on that. In order to get the easements from the owners of the adjacent property, we have to get the appraisals and make them an offer what it's worth. The offer is we have to make them an offer, and then we can take the easements. If they don't voluntarily come through, that's the process.
So Attorney Warren reached out to about, I don't know, it was probably 10 different appraisal companies to try to get somebody to take this work, and this is the only one that would do it, and they're charging $650 per parcel, or $3,900.
To do what?
How many parcels is
It's 6 parcels, and they're all in their council packet if you look. It's 6 parcels going out at Wilson. And this is not something that's included in the grant. So we would have to pay for it.
Choice but to do that in order to comply with the process that the law requires.
So the law requires us to do this.
To present them with an appraisal of the value of what we want to condemn. Now, in this case, we want to condemn a 15-foot easement. I don't know what the appraiser is going to assign the value as, but I don't think it's going to be a lot of money, because I don't think it can be. But we have to have it in writing from a bona fide appraiser to approach the property owner. Unless there is the possibility of informally talking to the property owner and asking them to just sign the easement in the interest of the community, that's a possible approach.
Okay.
The only person I know is Mr. Dukes.
The reason why I think that would be a plausible situation would be the fact that we're fixing to put a highway, and that would enhance the value of their property immensely.
Correct.
So I I could see where we could reach out to them on an individual basis and just ask if they would,
What do you mean by highway?
The paved road.
Oh, paved road. Oh, okay. You said highway. I was like, wait, what?
Well, you wait till they put that black top down. They ain't gonna be
What's that, Joanne?
Who is best qualified to do it? I mean, they don't know me from a hole in the ground. I could be very diplomatic about it and approach them, of course. But if somebody who knows them better or has previous dealings, the folks involved, it might be more beneficial. I don't know.
Well, all of this is
You'll
vacant
have to tell
land
me.
except for
All
what
kind
Terry
of
did.
people, all kind of people own that land now.
yeah.
And, you know, you said it's not included in the grant, but what about, once we get all this in here, I know I'm maybe getting the car ahead of the horse, or what about when if we get these easements, even regardless of whether we have to pay for them or they give them to us, then who's gonna clear, is it clearing the right of way in the contract?
Everything else should be.
Right.
All full construction.
Well, yeah, well, you got to cut trees, all that's gonna be in the,
Supposed to be.
well, what
My
about,
understanding too.
one more thing too, now, what about the power poles? Is that in the contract too?
Yeah, that's part of the whole process.
Part of the project.
That's part of this. In order to relocate the power poles,
We gotta get
we have to
that
do this first.
Okay,
That's what it's all about.
okay, I got you.
All right, so we
Yeah,
got Terry Dukes, we got,
Okay.
I would say Terry's the only one I know.
this gentleman right here, that's got this parcel here. He came to a city council meeting, Larry and Sons Incorporated. Remember they wanted to do something there. That's been a while back though.
Larry and Sons.
They wanted to build something there.
Is that the mobile home or the storage unit people?
Storage unit people.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
exactly who that was.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, we have communicated with them. Dukes is not, I mean, we know where Terry is.
Man, that property just sold this year, just last year.
So, hey, it's worth a chance, it's worth a shot.
If you authorize me, I'll make the approach unless somebody else wants to do it.
So, Attorney Worm, if they agree to give it to the town, then we're good to go? Is that what you're saying?
Well, that piece doesn't have to be surveyed, no.
Okay.
What's that, Mr. Moore?
All they have to do is sign the easement if they agree.
Oh.
Yeah.
And if it's enhancing the value of their property as has been suggested, then they have a motivation to agree. And, you know, I will suggest that to them. Again, as diplomatic
Sure.
as I
If
can.
we got 5 out of
I'm not gonna
6,
try to muscle
it
them or
costs
anything like
$600.
that.
Yeah, this is expensive. Trust me. We were like, what? We were hoping someone was going to do it for free.
I've been,
Or done
that's
close
worth
to
at
free.
least a shot, to try. So,
Attorney Worm, you want to put something together? I can sign off on the letters, but
Yeah, I'll do it right away so that we don't lose a lot of time because there has been some delay here. The holidays have something to do with it, and my poking around has something to do with it too. I'm nothing if not honest. So I will expedite this for you, and let's see what we can accomplish.
okay.
I have another question I want to ask about this. In order for the power company to put those poles where they at, they have to have easement. And I don't know, I think it's 10 feet.
We couldn't find it.
Pardon?
You're right, but we couldn't find it.
Couldn't find it?
No, we couldn't.
Did you go to the power company?
The power company is the one we asked, where's your easement? They don't.
Right.
They don't have a record.
Wow, that's unusual.
Why?
That's where all
It
this.
is.
It would have cost them money to get it.
No, but the power company, they don't, normally, they don't put
They
no.
wasn't following the rules back then, they was trying to get the
I'm saying-
juice down there.
That is unusual.
It's unusual for them to put line up like that with no easement. I mean,
Yeah.
because they're running the same thing we trying to run into. When you go to see personal property and start cutting trees and you ain't got no permission, that's trouble. They had to cut trees on the wood side in order to put that line up there.
All right, well, I think it's very worth it.
You wanna try that first? Okay.
At my house in front of the air conditioner.
That's your beautiful.
I know, a beautiful, but it, and didn't tell us anything, just have to come home and they just got it right in front of the air conditioner, so it got ready to change air conditions out.
But when you
You have
apply,
to pick up the power pole.
when you apply for power, they have to put the meter pole where the switch will put in. You have to have a meter to put it on your own property, but you go on somebody else's property, like this here right here, you got to get an easement. Or you apply for power to your house and you sign the paper.
So now I got 2 power poles sitting right there.
I need a power pole.
They didn't take one of them.
You come home and Mr. Aaron will be in your car. Pulling power
So we gotta go back to resolution 22-25. That's about doing a CPI increase. Do you guys want to,
Okay.
since you took the increases that Florida Rural Water recommended, do you want to hold off on this and then, wait a year and look at this, or what do you think?
Well, we already approved to go with the first one, so that's in effect till 2024, correct?
Correct?
So I assume whenever that's done, we
Hold
go
off and-
towards the
Okay.
towards the CCI,
CPI, yeah.
CPI.
So we'll maybe look at this again.
Motion to that.
Okay.
But that's the one Sherry said you all would check every year, right?
Well, when it's done,
and
right?
see what-
CPI?
Well, we're gonna do the rate study every year.
Rates, the rate study.
Rate study
Right.
every year, but this CPI it raises with the what's the
Inflation.
rate?
Inflation.
All right, so I need a motion. Go on.
I didn't want a motion.
So we're just gonna hold off on.
You wanna just,
Take it until 20.
you wanna kill it? Yeah.
Table until October 3rd of 2024.
You wanna wait until all the ones that you've done are done, and then we'll look at this again, right? Okay. Okay, that's fine.
So it'll just die for lack of a motion. Correct. All right. All right, so you got something for Dennis for us?
I got nothing for Dennis.
No, I thought he'd come up to you. Just-
Oh, no, he just said he had some fires to go take care of. That's all.
All right. I have nothing to bring at this point. Jason?
I just want to apologize for missing the last meeting. Hope everybody had a good Christmas. Happy New Year. Stay safe.
I'm good.
Dollars in the tree this year.
Could I have a list of who, can you email me a list of everybody that's on the cemetery committee?
Ooh.
I get it.
I was just gonna say, maybe with the people in here.
Yeah.
Cemetery.
I was gonna say, President, Vice President.
Roosevelt, yeah,
Oh,
Mr.
oh.
Roosevelt, Woodley, Mr. Elijah,
Yeah.
I was on it. And we talked about this last time, they had a guy from Chiefland on it,
yeah.
which Chiefland shouldn't have nothing to do with,
That is weird.
he was on it.
Do it, stop it.
Right.
And
And
while-
they shouldn't have nothing to do with Bronson Cemetery.
While we're
because
speaking about
he was
cemeteries,
trying to,
I got a phone call over the weekend, and from Miss
Tony Collins.
Tony Collins.
Tony, and with the Rosemary Cemetery, somebody came in there and stole all of the wreaths off of people in there, and she went off the reservation.
Was it Rosemary or
No,
was it?
Coulter.
It was Coulter.
Coulter.
Excuse me.
And they ended up all the wreaths and everything had been thrown to the back.
So that they took them off and put it somewhere else?
Yes,
Threw them, yeah.
do it.
Now you,
And
That don't happen out there.
So
I'm out there field every day.
she was
Yeah.
trying
That's right.
to get
Boy, you're true.
the sheriff's department to go out there and put some cameras up out there, and then they wanted to know who was responsible for that, and I didn't know who.
Privately owned.
I don't know who owns it.
She came to me last week to let me know what happened, and I said, listen, we have our own issues, and we've had issues at the park,
Right.
and we put up cameras. So I recommended, I said, do you want to know, put up cameras, I don't know what to tell you. I mean,
She has a thing with cemeteries, old ones like that, and her historical situation, so she was very up in the air on it.
That's the cemetery that's
The courthouse.
courthouse.
Really was?
All right.
We were talking about the cemetery meeting, and you say you want me to do what?
She already answered it.
I want to hear what the answer is.
I asked who was on the cemetery committee. I asked her to send me an email, and they told me.
I want to know when I could have it, when I could do it. That's what I want to know. I get with Roosevelt, and I think we'll skip it for
No, but I follow up all the
probably.
time. Elijah, my plan was once the map comes in, I was thinking you guys could do a committee meeting at that point. Because I'm hoping that is coming
Any day now.
any day now.
Right, 'cause it's been a long time. We've been waiting on that.
I mean, unless you want to have one for some other reason beforehand. I mean, you can, but
See, what we were doing, we was trying to get a pavilion out there. And we almost had it. I think the fund was for that. Do you remember that, Sister B?
Remember what now?
Remember we was trying to get a pavilion out there?
Yeah, talk about it. You and Mr.
Roosevelt.
Roosevelt supposed to look into somebody
Right.
doing it and bring that information back.
Right. We were supposed to
But I
be doing that, but we
got
got away
anything
from it.
Yeah.
And when we were meeting, we were doing it quarterly, not every month. We were doing it quarterly. And that's how we'd like to do it again.
All right.
Make a
I'm
motion
assuming
to
that was
pay
public participation, so with that being said, I would entertain the motion to review the bills.
Make a motion to pay the bills.
I second.
Properly moved and seconded, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those same, motion carries. Bills are approved.